Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Coders Arcade. From today's tutorial onwards, we'll be starting a new playlist on AWS, Amazon Web Services. Okay, and in this introductory video, we'll be learning about basics of cloud computing and also we'll be seeing what is AWS. Okay, so before starting this video, I would like to request all of you to please like and share our videos with your friends and family. And at the same time, if you really like the content that we are bringing forward to you, please don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe to our channel because that is a motivation factor for us to bring more better content for you. Okay, and thanks a lot for supporting us, and I hope you'll be supporting us in future as well. Okay, so without any more ado, let's get started. Okay, so as I said, today we'll be learning about cloud computing and AWS or Amazon Web Services. This video will be just a brief overview about that, and gradually we'll be soon having a playlist where we'll be dedicatedly learning about AWS. Okay, so now let's see what we will be discussing in this video. Okay, so in this video, we're going to discuss the basics of cloud computing. You will be learning what cloud computing is. You will discover the advantages of cloud computing, and then we will reveal what AWS or Amazon Web Services is actually about. Okay, so this video, and I will assume that you have a non IT background because it will not teach you how to build applications in the cloud. Okay, this tutorial will give you a general conceptual understanding about the cloud computing concepts and AWS. Okay, so we'll be just knowing better about what actually AWS is so that we can start working with it. Okay, because if we don't have any idea about AWS, we won't be able to start with that, right? So that is what our target will be. And let's talk about the objectives now. Okay, so the goal of this tutorial is to discuss key concepts related to cloud computing and the advantages of cloud computing with Amazon Web Services. Okay, so we will be defining different types of cloud computing to understand internet based cloud computing and the three broad categories of cloud computing. Okay, then we'll be discussing the advantages of cloud computing that are helping organizations make the decision to get out of the low value parts of IT and focus on things that drive business success. Okay, we will try to understand the most important advantages of cloud computing. And also, we'll be describing the three cloud deployment models to understand alternative models of cloud uses. So, after this overview or this video, I can guarantee that you will have a proper knowledge of the concept of AWS. You will not be able to build any applications, but at least you will have a great overview of what actually AWS is all about. Okay, now let's start with our part one. What is cloud computing? Can you guess what is cloud computing? Do you have any idea about that? What does cloud computing actually mean to you? Just take a moment to provide a quick sentence on what you understand cloud computing to be. And please note, there is no wrong answer. You can be wrong, you can be right. It doesn't matter. At least give it a try. So basically, cloud computing is the on demand delivery of compute power, database storage, applications, and other IT resources through a cloud services platform via the internet. And the most important thing is you pay as you use it, or you can say pay as you go pricing. Okay. And the most basic way to define what the cloud is that it is a computer located somewhere else that is accessed by the internet and utilized in some way. Okay. So you can also say that web services is also another name for what people call the cloud. You can also say cloud services as web services. Okay. So the cloud is actually comprised of server computers located in large data centers in different locations around the whole world. When you use a cloud service like AWS or Amazon Web Services, you are actually utilizing the computers owned by AWS. Okay, so that means that AWS is actually a cloud services provider. Okay, so here the computers actually contain various technology features and services like the building blocks that can be used to assemble solutions that help a user meet their business goals and technology requirements. Okay, so with cloud computing, Organizations can consume on demand computing and storage resources rather than building, operating, and improving infrastructure on their own. So they can use something on the cloud rather than implementing that on their own premises. I hope this is clear now. Okay. So even when cloud computing was not there, let's see what were the drawbacks. So here you can see that cloud computing actually enables you to stop thinking of your own infrastructure as hardware and instead of think of it as software. You don't have to think of it as hardware, you can think of it as software. Okay, and also you can use it as a software. Before cloud computing, you would have to provision capacity based on guessing theoretical maximum peaks. That means what I mean to say is you have to think about a physical thing. You have to create your own data center and all the physical implementation you have to bother about. But with cloud, you don't have to bother about that. You can simply use it as a service, as a software. Okay. And at the same time, if you did not meet your projected maximum peaks or you exceeded them, you would be paying for expensive resources that would stay idle or have insufficient capacity to meet your needs. What I mean to say is, you can either overspend or you can underspend if you are not meeting your exact demands. Correct? So that was a very big difficulty and drawback before cloud computing. But now with cloud, you have the pay as you go option. Okay, that saves a lot of money and time. And you can see that managing hardware takes away time and resources you could be using to improve your architecture and your application. Correct? Hardware solutions are very physical. This means they require space, staff, physical security, planning, and capital expenditure. So you have to guess at theoretical maximum peaks, asking if there is enough resource capacity or if you have sufficient storage. What if your needs change? What if you need something more? What if you need something less? You have to go through the time, effort, and cost required to change all of this. Correct? For example, if you want to provision a new website, you would have to go out and buy the hardware, rack and stack it, put it in a data center, and then manage it or have someone else manage it. This approach is very, very expensive. Correct? So, with the help of cloud computing, it addresses some of the issues in the traditional computing model. One of the most prohibitive aspect of traditional computing is the significant upfront investment of acquiring, provisioning, and maintaining on-premise infrastructure. Okay, so cloud computing can get businesses up and running with a new solution in place quickly and very low upfront costs. Then you can elastically scale up and down in an automated fashion so that you pay only for what you use. Okay, cloud computing actually allows you to select the services that best match your needs, giving you flexibility with a wide range of choices and the ability to change your configuration at will. All of these services are provided on a secured infrastructure. That is also very important. Make sense? Now, if you understand this, software is very flexible. Correct? Accessing and using your infrastructure as software offers a number of benefits. The benefits can be flexibility in particular. If at all your needs change, your software can change much more quickly, easily, and cost effectively than your hardware. Clear? So, with a cloud services provider like AWS, you don't have to anticipate your hardware needs ahead of time and then order, install, and set it up at your data center. You also don't need to undergo a long procurement cycle. Within just a few clicks, you can provision exactly what you need and it will be available to you in a few minutes. That means you can provision and terminate resources as necessary on AWS instead of paying for hardware when you are not using it. Because in a physical device, you have to pay even though you are not using it. But in AWS or any other cloud service provider, you will only pay whenever you use it. That's as simple as that. Okay, you can treat your resources as temporary and disposable resources, free from the inflexibility and constraints of a fixed and finite IT infrastructure. Okay, by harnessing the power of AWS, you can be more agile and effective with change management, testing, reliability, and capacity planning that are so important in our business, right? Now, there are three models of cloud computing. They are called IaaS or infrastructure as a service, PaaS platform as a service, and SaaS software as a service. Okay, so cloud services can fall into one of three primary categories based mainly around how much control and responsibility you have over how the service is configured. Okay, with IaaS, you manage the server, which can be physical or virtual, as well as the operating system, Windows or Linux. In general, the data center provider has no access to your server. Okay, the basic building blocks for cloud IT include the networking feature, the compute, and the data storage space. Okay, with platform as a service or PaaS, someone else manages the underlying hardware and operating systems. You don't have to bother about that. This enables you to run applications without managing underlying infrastructure. For example, patching, updates, maintenance, hardware, and operating systems. PaaS also provides a framework for developers that they can build upon to create customized applications. Okay, and the third one, SaaS, or software as a service, you manage your files while the service provider takes care of all the data centers, servers, network, storage, maintenance, patching, etc. All you worry about is the software and how you want to use it. You are provided with a complete product that is run and managed by the service provider. Facebook and Dropbox are examples of SaaS or software as a service. You manage your Facebook contacts and Dropbox files, and the service providers manage the systems. I hope this is clear. These are the three models of cloud computing: IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. Okay. And let's talk about the three deployment models in the cloud. Okay. The all in cloud is a cloud based application that is fully deployed in the cloud, and all parts of the application run in the cloud. Applications in the cloud have either been created in the cloud or have been migrated from an existing infrastructure. Cloud based applications can be built on low level infrastructure pieces, for example, networking, compute, or storage, or can use higher level services that provide abstraction from the management, architecting, and scaling requirements of core infrastructure. And the second one, a hybrid deployment, is a way to connect infrastructure and applications between cloud based resources and existing resources that are not located in the cloud. The most common method of hybrid deployment is between the cloud and existing on premise infrastructure. Sometimes they are also known as on prem. On premise infrastructure is located within the physical confines of an enterprise, often in the company's data center. And hybrid deployment model is used to extend an organization's infrastructure into the cloud while connecting cloud resource to an internal system. And finally, when you run a cloud infrastructure from your own data center, that's called on premise or private cloud. While this kind of deployment lacks many of the benefits of cloud computing, it does provide dedicated resources and is a popular choice for organizations who need to meet certain compliance standards. In most cases, this deployment model is the same as legacy IT infrastructure while using application management and virtualization to increase resource utilization. Now, note I said the word virtualization. Virtualization means the conversion of the physical storage into a cloud storage. That is a very important concept, and we will gradually learn more and more about it. Okay, please remember the word virtualization. Now, let's talk about the difference between all in cloud versus on premises. So, in the all in cloud solution, capacity is in sync with demand. Resources are provisioned and decommissioned in response to demand with only a couple clicks. Okay. In contrast, in on premises deployments, because you rely on physical hardware, you have to forecast your capacity needs well in advance of the actual demand. Even before you know that this many clients will be coming to your server or your system, you have to be ready for that. But in case of all in cloud, you don't have to bother about that. You can upscale or downscale in just a simple click. Okay, that is a very important factor of all in cloud services. Okay, let's see the difference between all in cloud versus on premise in some bullets. So, to summarize, you can see that with the all in solution, there is no upfront investment, so you avoid the large capital purchases required for an on premise solution. You have immediate access to resources without having to procure, install, and configure cabling, racks, servers, procure, and storage in a physical location with appropriate facilities like cooling and power. Instead, you just click to order and pay for the resources you need, which are available almost immediately. So, cloud computing helps you reduce ongoing IT costs in multiple ways. AWS, for example, continually lowers prices due to massive economies of scale and continual improvements. Multiple pricing options also help you optimize costs based on your unique workloads. If you use more, you pay more. If you use less, you pay less. You pay only for what you use on a variable monthly basis. On premises solutions typically require upgrades on 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year cycle. So that's a very big cost saving opportunity that you have with cloud. Okay. So there are lots of advantages of using the cloud systems. I hope you can understand this. Now let's see what we can do with the cloud. What are the things that you can do with the cloud? So you can see that you can use a cloud computing platform for the following. You can perform application hosting for an on-demand infrastructure to host internal or SaaS applications. Also, you can perform backup and storage to store data and build dependable backup solutions. You can perform content delivery to distribute content worldwide with high data transfer speeds. You can also host static and dynamic websites. Also, enterprise IT can host internal or external facing IT applications in AWS's secure environment. We can also use a variety of scalable database solutions, from hosted enterprise database software to non relational database solutions. So, there are so many things you can do with the cloud. You can see the proper difference between the on premise and the AWS architecture. We have so many features. You can see the security, the networking, the servers, the storage, and database. All of them will be handled by the cloud, the service provider. You don't have to bother about that. Rather than that, in case of on premise, you have to focus on everything on your own. Even though you are not using some service, you have to pay for that. So that's a very big burden. And now let's talk about some important cloud terminologies. You can see here we have high availability. That means highly available. It refers to a resource that is accessible when you attempt to access it. For example, if every time you go to the ATM to make a withdrawal, it works as accepted, the ATM is highly available. However, if you go to use it and there is a sign on the front that says out of order, it is not highly available. Correct? I hope you got the point. The next thing is fault tolerance. It is the ability to withstand a certain amount of failure and still remain functional. It also refers to the ability of a system to be self healing and return to full capacity despite a failure. It is the ability of a system to fail in some way but still remain functional. So that's a very good feature that you have. Now comes scalability. It is the ability to easily grow in size, capacity, or scope when required, particularly in response to demand. If something cannot quickly grow in an easy manner, it is not scalable. Then comes elasticity. It is the ability to not only grow or scale when required, but also to reduce or contract in size as needed. So you should be able to upscale and downscale very easily. A system that is elastic can scale to grow as needed, usually based on demand, and contract as demand decreases. So now let's get down with the summary of what we have learned till now. So you can see that cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources online with pay-as-you-go pricing. The three models of cloud computing are infrastructure as a service (IaaS), platform as a service (PaaS), and software as a service (SaaS). They are called IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS. All in cloud, hybrid, and private cloud are three cloud deployment models. And also, cloud services are available to replace traditional on premises computing activities. Okay, this is what we have learned till now. Now let's go to part 2, the benefits of cloud computing. Now let's talk about why are so many companies interested in moving to the cloud. Let's take a look at the benefits companies can realize by moving to the cloud. Okay? Advantage number 1, capital expense to variable expense, or it is also known as capex to variable X. So the first advantage is to trade capital expense for variable expense. So instead of having to invest heavily in data centers and servers before you know how you are going to use them, you can pay only when you use computing resources and pay for how much you use. Okay. Let's see what is the basic difference between capital expense and variable expense. So, capital expense or capex are funds used by a company to acquire, upgrade, and maintain physical assets such as property, industrial buildings, or equipment. Remember the data center example where we racked and stacked the hardware and then had to manage it all? You have to pay for everything in the data center, whether you use it or not. Furthermore, when you purchase a hardware solution, you cannot take advantage of the same massive economies of scale that Amazon can. Your data center will be restricted to the size that you limit it to. Okay, but AWS has no limit. You can upscale and downscale with just a simple click. And here you can see the variable expense is an expense that is easily altered or avoided by the person bearing the cost. By using the cloud, businesses won't have to invest money into data centers and servers and can pay for only what they use in a pay as you go fashion. This lets businesses save money on technology and enables them to adapt to new applications with as much space as needed in minutes rather than weeks or days. Maintenance is reduced so the business can spend more time focusing on the core goals of the business. Now let's talk about the advantage number two, economies of scale. This advantage means that you can benefit from massive economies of scale. By cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you can get on your own. Okay, you can upgrade and downgrade depending on the requirement. So let's talk more about this thing. Data centers require hardware solutions which are physical and require space, staff, and physical security. Significant cost and time is associated with the procurement of these resources. Additionally, purchasing power is limited to the size of their individual purchases. Correct? In contrast, with users from hundreds of thousands of customers are aggregated in the cloud. Providers such as AWS can achieve higher economies of scale, which translates into lower pay as you go prices. So, more the number of customers, the less is the pay. That's a very good benefit. And the third advantage is you don't have to keep guessing about the capacity. It eliminates guessing on your capacity needs. This means that before cloud computing, we had to guess about how much resources would be required to accommodate maximum usage peaks. That method also assumed that you could accurately predict the usage peaks if there's enough resource capacity and if the amount of storage is sufficient. When you guess, it is very likely that you will probably either buy too much or too little. If you buy too much, you have wasted money. If you buy too little, you will have downtime. With cloud computing, these problems go away. You can access as much or as little you need and scale up and down, scale in and out as required with only a few minutes' notice. Also, you can increase the speed and agility. In a cloud computing environment, new IT resources are only a click away, which means you reduce the time it takes to make those resources available to your developer from weeks to just minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for the organization since the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. You can see that cloud services provide instant global reach and rapid availability of new resources that enables you to quickly change or scale your technology in minutes, not weeks. Organizational agility is a core differentiator in today's rapidly changing business environment. For organizations to succeed in a constantly changing world, they need to improve their ability to change and adapt. You can safely experiment with new ideas and encourage innovation at a very low cost and leverage prefabricated functionality without requiring in house expertise, such as data warehousing and analytics. You may even find success with ideas that simply weren't feasible in the past due to hardware or budget constraints. You are able to explore new avenues of business with minimal risk and expense and can test with different configurations. And then comes the fifth advantage, we can spend strategically. We can stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers. We can focus on projects that differentiate your business, not the infrastructure. Cloud computing lets you focus on your own customers rather than on the heavy lifting of racking, stacking, and powering servers. So you can see that cloud computing allows you to focus on your customers and your core business, what you are good at, rather than on managing infrastructure. Let someone else manage that for you. Focus on projects that differentiate the business, not the infrastructure. Delegate the racking, stacking, and powering of servers to the cloud providers. And you can go global in minutes. Easily deploy your application in multiple regions around the world with just a few clicks. This means you can provide a lower latency and better experience for your customers simply at a very minimal cost. You can be operating locally today and become available globally in minutes by leveraging AWS CloudFront and the global network of edge locations. Deploying in the region where your customers are helps you provide lower latency and a better experience at minimal cost. Let's summarize what we have learned till now. The six benefits discussed in this tutorial provide a strong value proposition for moving to the cloud. Each of these benefits should be considered when deciding between an on premise or cloud solution. So, I hope you have understood all the advantages well. Now, let's go to the third part, the most important part, that is AWS. Now, basically, what is AWS? We'll learn about that. So, practically speaking, AWS or any other web service is a service or is a piece of software that makes itself available over the internet or on private intranet networks. A web service uses a standardized format such as XML or JSON for the request and the response of an API interaction. It is not tied to any one operating system or programming language. It's self describing via an interface definition file and is discoverable. Out of that, the best one till now can be said that is AWS. So AWS or Amazon Web Services is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering over 165 fully featured services from data centers globally. It has been architected to be the most flexible and secure cloud computing environment available in today's market. AWS offers a broad set of global cloud based products, including compute, storage, databases, analytics, networking, mobile, developer tools, management tools, IoT, security, and enterprise applications. These services help organizations move faster, lower the IT costs, and scale. AWS is trusted by the largest enterprises and the hottest startups to power a wide variety of workloads, including web and mobile applications, game development, data processing and warehousing, storage, archive, and many others. Let us see the core services of AWS. AWS offers many services. Core services refer to a broad and deep group of core cloud infrastructure services. The blue level that you see denotes the service group category. Each of the individual icons represent a service within that group. AWS services are typically grouped into different categories, like you can see in the slide: compute, networking, storage, database, applications, and analytics. There is more to it. It is a very vast concept and it cannot be completed in one video. Let us talk about the foundational services of AWS. Foundational services refers to the group of services that offer cloud-based solutions for the analytics, enterprise, mobile, and IoT or Internet of Things platforms. You can see we have all the things mentioned in the slide. Okay, guys, we will be learning more and more about this in the future classes. This is an overview, so take it light and try to understand and go through the concepts. That's all. Now let's look at the developer and operational services. You can see here the AWS Developer Tools is a set of services designed to enable developers and IT operations professionals practicing DevOps to rapidly and safely deliver software via management tools, security and identity and app services. Okay, these are the tools for developers and operation services, or you can say that DevOps operations can be done through this. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you have got a good overview about what is cloud computing and also what is AWS. We'll be starting a very good playlist on AWS soon where we'll be learning about all the concepts of AWS. Maybe you are doing some testing, maybe you are doing some development. AWS is a must for you to understand. So if you have any doubts, you can ping your doubts in the comment section. Thank you for watching. And this is Saurabh signing off. Till the next time, bye bye and happy learning. I hope you like the video. Thank you very much.